There are forces all around us, some unseen, some unheard, and some that leave their mark on our bodies. Welcome to Universal Truths, Exploring the Extraordinary, where we uncover paranormal mysteries and explore the energies, imbalances, and hidden truths that affect our mind, body, and spirit. So join me and let's begin exploring the extraordinary. Welcome back to Universal Truths, Exploring the Extraordinary. Today's episode is titled Healing Beneath the Surface, Understanding Emotion Code, Body Code, Heart Code, and Belief Code. I want to welcome my special guest and friend, Beverly.
Hello.
Who's familiar with today's topics. So let's begin exploring the extraordinary. We will be exploring the differences between emotion code, body code, heart code, or heart wall, and belief code, and how do they actually work together to support healing. If you've ever felt like you've done the work, but something still feels stuck physically, emotionally, or even spiritually, well, developed by Dr. Bradley Nelson, following over 20 years of experience as a holistic chiropractor and educator, the Emotion Code aims to assist you in relieving physical pain, healing emotional scars, and rejuvenating love in relationships. This powerful energy healing technique is designed to free trapped emotions. An emotion code therapy session may surprise you and empower you to overcome possible self-sabotage, enabling you to embrace the life you are destined to lead. So let's get started with segment 1, the foundation of emotion code. Emotion code at its core is based on an idea that emotions are energy and when we don't fully process them, they can become trapped in the body. This may sound a bit familiar if you are one of my clients through our enlightenment and Reiki sessions. In my Reiki sessions, I gently scan the body's energy field. Reiki allows me to sense where energy is flowing freely and where it feels restricted, heavy, or even blocked. These areas of resistance are not treated as problems to fix, but as signals, places where the body is asking for deeper attention. Once a block is identified, we discuss these findings through enlightenment, which is also known as consultation. We discuss many options with emotion code and body code being one of those options. If the client is interested in using these systems, I communicate with their subconscious mind using a pendulum and the body code map to identify trapped emotions, stress patterns, belief systems, or physical imbalances that may be contributing to the energetic disruption, while also listening to my own intuition. Rather than working only at the surface, I also incorporate enlightenment along the way to help reveal the deeper root of the imbalance. These sessions allow us to explore underlying themes such as unresolved emotional layers, inherited patterns, or subconscious responses that may be keeping the body in a state of protection or holding. I gently alleviate the underlying imbalance using Reiki or the more commonly used tool, a magnet. A magnet is mainly employed to release trapped emotions by engaging with the body's electromagnetic field, typically by swiping it along the governing meridians to facilitate release. I've discovered that the most consistent result comes from employing a blended approach. As a natural healer, empath, medium, I have experienced remarkable outcomes, including spiritual visits from those who may have contributed to the specific imbalance, as they come forward to assist in the healing process through acknowledgments, reassurance, or forgiveness. I then apply Reiki again to aid into integration. With the root cause addressed, energy can flow more freely through the area rather than continually encountering the same resistance. This method encourages the body to transition from compensation to balance, thereby decreasing the chances of energy becoming blocked in the same manner again. So throughout the process, the body leads the session. Nothing is forced, and nothing is released before the body is ready. Neither approach works without the body's consent. My role is simply to support awareness, clarity, and flow, allowing the body's natural healing intelligence to do what it already knows how to do. You may be wondering where these trapped emotions come from. Well, the answer is they come from your own experiences, childhood events, or even inherited emotional energy, passed down through generations. Let me explain the last one. You see, when we talk about emotional patterns being passed down, science doesn't suggest that specific emotions themselves are inherited, but it does show that the body's response to stress and trauma can be influenced across generations. Epigenetics studies how life experiences, especially stress or trauma, can affect how genes are expressed without changing the DNA itself. In other words, the genetic code stays the same, but the certain genes can be tuned up or down based on experiences. These changes can sometimes be passed to future generations. Research has shown that severe stress, trauma, or prolonged fear, let me do that again. Research has shown that severe stress, trauma, or prolonged fear can affect symptoms like the nervous system, the stress or hormone response, or emotional regulation. Children and grandchildren may then inherit a heightened stress sensitivity, even if they never experienced the original event. In addition to biology, emotional patterns are also passed through family dynamics, learned behaviors, emotional modeling, and attachment patterns. From an energy healing perspective, these inherited stress responses are seen as emotional imprints the body may still be carrying. So while science explains how vulnerability and sensitivity can be inherited, energy work focuses on helping the body release what no longer needs to be held. Knowledge of the human energy field goes back thousands of years and through many cultures. The Emotion Code provides a framework for these ancient teachings by providing an understanding of how trapped emotional energies can cause blockages or imbalances in the personal energy field. With the Energy Code, we believe it's possible to permanently remove these negative energies, and allow the body to repair or heal on its own. When an emotion gets trapped, it doesn't just disappear. It can affect the body physically, emotionally, spiritually, or energetically, sometimes showing up as pain, anxiety, patterns we repeat, or emotional reactions that feel bigger than that moment. With the Emotion Code, it uses muscle testing to communicate with the subconscious mind and identify with emotions that are ready to be released. So once released, the body often responds with a sense of lightness, clarity, or relief. I will explain muscle testing in just a second. So the important thing to note, you don't have to relive the trauma to heal it. In the book, The Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson, it presents that an emotion code chart consisting of 3 columns. The first column features a compilation of organs, organized into 6 distinct rows, while the remaining 2 columns contain lists of emotions. Each organ is associated with the emotions that resonate at the same vibrational frequency. For instance, the first row identifies emotions linked to the heart or small intestines, and these 2 organs generate identical emotional vibrations within the body. So now let's revisit muscle testing. What exactly it is and why it's used in emotion code therapy sessions. So muscle testing, which is also called applied kinesiology, is a non-invasive assessment where a practitioner applies pressure to a patient's muscle while the patient resists, aiming to identify this is
No, just go back like a minute or half a minute, because you're doing great.
All right, so muscle testing, which is often called applied kinesiology, is a non-invasive assessment where a practitioner applies pressure to a patient's muscle while the patient resists, aiming to identify structural, chemical, or emotional imbalances by observing changes in the muscle strength as a form of biofeedback. Practitioners believe a weak or locked muscle response indicates a problem with an associated organ or system, helping to pinpoint the underlying issue beyond what conventional tests might find. Though it's considered an alternative therapy not fully supported by mainstream science, muscle testing is not solely performed by a practitioner. It can also be conducted on oneself. The practice can be embraced through self-muscle testing for personal validation or verification during your own private session that you engage in. So performing this test on yourself can have limitations such as your conscious mind interference, desire for a specific outcome can skew the results, and can be less reliable for a deeper or layered work. A surrogate muscle testing is when a practitioner tests on themselves or another person on behalf of a client. The subconscious recognizes the intention and the energetic connection. This is ideal for babies, animals, children, teens, or remote sessions. Common methods are arm test, deltoid, finger lock test, a wrist or elbow resistance to the sway test. However, this type
Let me see what they say about that. Hold on.
All right, so common methods for muscle testing can be the arm test or deltoid, a finger lock test, a wrist or elbow resistance, the sway test, which I'll get Beverly to explain here in a minute. However, this type of verification or validation method is not ideal for remote sessions. Children, teens, sensitives, or injured clients. Other methods that are used in finding and releasing imbalances are magnets and pendulums. It's important to acknowledge muscle testing, magnets, and pendulums are not diagnostic medical tools. Results are subjective and depend on practitioner skills. These methods work best when framed as facilitating subconsciousness awareness, supporting emotional release, and complementary to other healing approaches. Transparency builds trust. So now I'm going to hand it over to Beverly so she can explain a little bit more into detail what this is all about. Beverly?
Hi. Okay, so I got introduced to the emotion code, body code, about 5 years ago. And it was right around the same time I was actually learning to use a pendulum, which I had never picked up before.
Yeah.
For me, using the pendulum works best because over the course of years, I've learned to know, like Jennifer said, when I am disrupting my personal results. If I will ask things forward and backward just to make sure that I'm getting the right answer, and I've been able to get most of it validated, especially if I'm working for someone else. So I'm going to go over the sway test really quick before I forget. The sway test is when you stand up and you center yourself very gently and you ask your subconscious a question. Always ask a question that you know the answer to be yes or no to. You'll feel your body gently sway forward if the answer is yes. If the answer is no, your body will gently sway backward. Like she said, that modality of testing is not really going to be the most productive because you have to be standing up to do it. I personally use a pendulum because it works for me.
Yeah.
But I've gone to an emotion code, body code practitioner in the past, and she used the kinesiology pressing down on the arm, and that worked for her. But she and I would get the same results, while my using the pendulum, her using the arm test. So you just use what works for you.
Well, explain the finger test.
The finger test is where you lock your fingers together, and when you ask a
Which
question,
fingers?
the forefinger and the thumb, they
Okay.
go together. They sort of wrap around each other in a circle like an 8. And the whole idea is that once you ask the question, your body is going to open up. It's going to be very, very subtle, but when it's a yes, it'll open up, and when it's a no, it'll stay clenched. Again, I found that that didn't really work for me as well because I found myself resisting, but I know many people who use that as their testing modality and it works for them. So when you're learning it, if you're practicing on yourself and you're learning how to do it, you just have to figure out which works best for you. And if you read the emotion code, it's going to go into learning about how to do the different testings. It'll go into it in detail. So I suggest if you're ever going to look into it, read the emotion code book first, then move on to the other ones. The body code book is the second book, and then the heart code book just came out this year actually. So I'm in the process of reading it now, but I think it kind of covers some of the same things, at least from what I've gotten so far.
Yeah.
So what would you like to know? Like how I got into it?
Well, so let me get your intake on what you think about the inherited emotions. I know we've talked about that before.
Yes. What she was talking about, from what I understand, the emotion can get trapped on a cellular level. That's the way I explain it. You know, the DNA carries the whatever our parents, grandparents, even great grandparents. I mean, you can get inherited emotional trauma from 10 generations back or more. It simply depends on how strong it is. And what I've found for me personally is that I am meant to release these traumatic situations
Yeah.
that have been passed down, because obviously this modality didn't exist when my mom was around, so
Right.
she wouldn't have been able to do it even if she had known about it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
But I've been able to release generational trauma from parents, grandparents, and I've even gone so far as to release trauma from past lives. Now, past lives is something that you don't really get into a strong discussion about when you're reading the Emotion Code, Body Code books, but it is a part of my practice, and it's a part of what I do for me personally, because it keeps coming up so strongly. So when I'm testing, I'll say if it's inherited, then I'll say, okay, does it, is it from my mom? Is it from my dad? If I get a no on those, then I will have to move back. I'll ask what age it became trapped. So I start by saying, is it between the ages of 0 and 10? Yes or no. If it's yes, 0 and 5. Yes or no. If it's yes, I'll go, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then I'll ask, is it in utero? Because we can inherit a lot of trauma just from the birthing process.
Right.
If your parent, your mom or your dad, especially your mom, if she was going through some type of struggle or trauma like my mom did, a lot of energy can get trapped there. Well, I started finding that I would get no for all of these, and so I started asking about past lives,
Mm-hmm.
and started realizing that a lot of the trauma came from my own past lives. So there's just so much more to it that you can just go deeper and deeper. And
Yeah, and I think you and I have added things.
we have absolutely added things. I mean, Jennifer and I together have actually helped release trauma from several of my relatives who have already passed on, some friends' relatives who have already passed on, through her work. And even now, through the Emotion Code, Body Code, she is able to help people because their family members will come in and help them. It just adds a different level of healing to the whole
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
Even
going through the map, we add our own little side notes of stuff that our intuition picks up on that's not in the book.
Right, because what I learned is that I was getting communication from the other side, from people who had already passed on, and so I kept getting guided. There's a section in the Body Code book, and it is, let me see if I can find it real quick. It's a section that I find I use a lot. It's called,
I don't know, does the book even really go into the spiritual part of it, like
Not really.
connecting?
Not really,
Okay.
no.
I know I hadn't come across that in reading the book.
No, it does not, and that's why I used it as a base in the beginning, and then when I started realizing that there were entities coming through, and I'm not a medium, Jennifer is the medium, and I drive her crazy. I bring them all to her if I can't figure it out myself. But there's an idea allergens section in the Body Code book, and what it has is it has quotes and phrases and things, stuff like growing up, being sick, being lied to, being overpowered, being disconnected, things like that. And so through my own intuition, because I'm a Reiki practitioner as well, and so I would use a lot of my own intuition to get answers for myself, because a lot of this is just for my own personal growth and healing. But I learned very quickly that when I would be asking about trapped emotions, it would then say that I needed an idea allergen that needed to be released. Well, when it would come to it, I would say, is this something that needs to be released, or is this communication? And I started getting very quickly that this was communication from the other side, whether it was from my higher self or from a spirit that had passed on that was trying to speak to me. And so I would take these quotes or phrases and little by little learn to communicate to the best of my ability. And then if I'm like, I can't figure it out, Jennifer gets to take the brunt of it. She gets to talk to them one-on-one. As a matter of fact, today we're probably going to hopefully talk to someone after this. But like she said, I've written multiple things because, for instance, there is one segment, it says being judged. I've learned that being judged also means self-reflection. And I
Yeah.
too use AI a lot because I found that if you type in the spiritual definition of some of these quotes and phrases,
Right.
that it'll give you a nice little AI generated paragraph with all kinds of different quotes and phrases and how it can be used and understood. And so I will go in and test and go, okay, is this what you're trying to tell me? Is this what you're trying to tell me? So that I can wean it down to what is actually trying to be said. And many, many times I've gotten similar messages, brought the spirit to Jennifer, then she's been able to reiterate or validate what I had gotten, but just maybe in a little bit more detail. Because again, I don't want the spirits talking to me. I don't want them coming in and saying, hi, how are you? So I'm just adding that because I think that anybody who really gets into this, if they feel like they're still missing something, like I had released heart walls and I had released emotional balance, imbalances and and emotions and all kinds of stuff, but I felt like there was still something more, something deeper that was calling me, that wanted to talk to me, to communicate with me. And so I just decided to utilize what I had in front of me, and the Body Code book worked perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because some things are still trapped in organs, systems, and various parts of the body, but so much stuff is just from out way beyond.
Yeah. And not everybody that we work on is going to have a spirit come through, and it's
No.
not anything that needs to be feared upon.
Not
like,
at all.
This isn't a modality to be scared of.
This is beautiful.
Mhm.
I mean, I've had, like, when I went to a lady who, because I actually did utilize an emotion code, body code practitioner for a good while until I realized that I could do a lot of it on my own.
Right.
And I remember one particular session that I went to her. It was a very traumatic situation that I had picked up, because I'm an empath. I had picked up a lot of emotional trauma from a friend of mine who was going through an extremely hard, stressful time. And in that emotion code session with this practitioner, she was able to release things, and I could literally feel them coming off of me as she did it. But when we got finished, it was so overpowering that we then had to do a different modality to release even more. That's a very rare thing.
Yeah.
Most of the time when you're in a session, you may not even think there's anything going on.
Right.
Because from what I understand, it's like if you just sort of, like the validation of that emotion being trapped and where it's trapped is enough to say, hey, I see you, I appreciate you, but I don't need you anymore, and you don't need me anymore, and it's time for you to move on.
Right.
And like Jennifer was saying, a lot of practitioners will use magnets and stuff, but for those of us who already work with our energy in our hands, when you're doing Reiki and things like that, like the practitioner I went to, she didn't use a magnet, but at times I have been told to use a magnet, by my higher self. But once you get the energy in your hands, you can kind of feel it flowing by you. And the way you release is, if you're doing it on yourself, you release it, 3 swipes if it's just a regular trapped emotion, 10 swipes if it's an inherited emotion. And I will find
Well,
on me
explain the
personally-
swipes.
Okay, the swipes, you start from the back of your the front of your head, and you swipe to the back of your head. That's when you're doing it on yourself. If a practitioner is doing it on you, most of the time they're going to come from the back and swipe upward over the top
From
of
the
your
root
head.
chakra, right
Yeah,
at the base of the
basically
spine.
from your root chakra. If they can't get to the root chakra,
Yeah.
if you're in a chair, as long as they go from basically your neck up, that's going to release it. Now, I've practiced on people where I felt like we needed to go to the root chakra and
Right.
work up. Jennifer and I have actually worked on someone together, and she and I could both feel the trapped energy in this person's body as we were moving up. And so we would stop and keep going, and as an energy worker, you can feel
Yeah. where
the
it's
emotions.
blocked.
Yeah, you can feel the blocks and where they're at. And so it just kind of helps you focus a little bit more on different parts.
Right.
And once it's gone, you can feel it, because then there's no resistance.
Yeah.
So yeah, but the whole idea about all this is there's so many different ways to approach it. You
Right.
don't have to just use one modality. You can incorporate it into everything, like you're doing with your healing sessions now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got started a few years ago?
I think it was around 2021. I had just gotten my Reiki 2 level attunement, and I ran back into an old friend, and she was fixing to do a class on pendulum work. And it's something I'd always been interested in. I thought, why not? And so I learned how to use the pendulum, and along with a group of friends, we practiced fairly regularly. And then we had another session where we got introduced to the emotion code by Dr. Bradley from a gentleman who had been practicing it for quite some time. And so along with his instruction and encouragement, and then reading the emotion code, body code books, I just started practicing it because I knew I had a lot of stuff that I needed to release.
Right.
I mean, I was on a journey of healing, physically, spiritually, emotionally, because I had a lot of trauma left over from my parents and from their parents and so on. And so I just started practicing it. Like I said, I went to a practitioner for a little while, and then I just started doing it on myself. And
it doesn't matter the pendulum. I know you've got a bullet pendulum that's brass. I have a multitude of pendulums. Yeah, you can use any kind of crystal, necklace.
I have crystals, hematite. I have a little brass knobby. This one, I use this one mainly because it's heavy.
Yeah.
The chain is thick, and I've gotten so used to it that I can feel the subtle movements in my hands without really looking at it. And so that's the one I use most of the time when I'm doing the
Yeah, because it was
emotion
kind of
code.
cool because we were talking about the one that I designed and manufactured, the dowsing bullet.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the same thing, but it's crimped with the star at the bottom, and it's
Exactly.
filled with crystals.
Yep.
So those are really
super cool. Yeah. The main reason that I
But
like,
brass is a really good one to use.
The chain to me
It's
is
easier.
Easy. It's not easier. They all work fine. It's easier for me to feel the subtlety because the chain is bigger.
Yeah.
That's why this is my preferred. But when I'm walking around, you see, I've got my pendulums. They're always around my neck. You know, if I need to test food or whatever, is this 100% compatible with my body, then I'm going to test it with my pendulums and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just, pendulum work just came naturally.
You just got to find the one that's right for you.
You do. You have to find the one that works right for you, because I started with crystals, just the little sort of diamond-shaped crystals and stuff, but I felt like they didn't have enough weight.
Yeah.
And so I've probably got maybe 10 at the house, and so I use whatever, because I've got them laying around all over the place.
Yeah, sometimes I'll just go through and try to feel like which one talks to me for that specific client. Especially if it's doing a remote session, you know, you try to feel, because you're tapping into their energy.
Right.
So you want to see what pendulum is going to tap into and work best with their energy, not necessarily yours, because you're not doing the work for yourself, you're doing it for somebody else.
Well, and like you saw when we were doing it for the young girl, I was told to use the tuning forks.
Right.
Because sometimes the tuning forks get a little bit more of that oomph, you know, and I just had to ask which tuning forks to use, and then just use those to help release some of the trapped energy, because she had some stuff that was, you know, pretty deep in.
And we have a multitude of tuning forks here at Universal Works of Healing.
Yes, she does. She's got every tuning fork you could possibly want. So I was like, hey, let me borrow a tuning fork.
So just grab whichever one feels right.
I did.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to move on to segment 2. So this is going deeper. This is the body code that you've heard us mention. So in this segment, we will discuss how the body code expands on emotion code. While emotion code focuses specifically on trapped emotional energy, body code looks at the body as a whole system. The body code is a comprehensive healing system created by Dr. Bradley Nelson, and it focuses on recognizing and addressing imbalances in 6 essential areas. So you have energies, pathogens, circuits and systems, toxins, nutrition, lifestyle, and misalignments. So this approach aims to activate the body's natural healing capabilities, frequency, utilizing muscle testing, and engaging the subconscious mind to uncover the underlying causes of physical, emotional, or even mental challenges. So consider body code as a comprehensive assessment of the body. It allows us to understand not only the issues present, but also healing priorities of the body. So at times when focusing on a particular area, there could be other associated imbalances that need to be identified and released, which Beverly will go over that here in a minute. While there may be several associated imbalances, the number identified is not concerning. Rather, it is the healing process that is occurring. So sometimes you may have 1 or 2 associated imbalances, or even more than that, but that's the number is not of of any significance. It's the healing process that's taking place. So the body is incredibly intelligent. Body code allows it to guide the process rather than forcing a one-size-fits-all solution. So it's kind of cool. Think of it as a code or a map to your body's hidden problems, allowing you to speak to your subconscious to find and clear the root causes of discomfort or illness, promoting natural wellness. So body code looks at the body as an interconnected whole rather than an isolated symptom. So instead of focusing on what feels wrong, body code asks what the body is prioritizing for the balance right now. So it works with understanding that the physical discomfort, emotional stress, mental strain, and energetic imbalances are often layered and connected. So using gentle yes or no communication, like Beverly had explained, with the subconscious mind, body code can identify the imbalances across multiple areas. And these findings are not medical diagnosis. Let me get that clear. They are energetic indicators that help guide the healing process. So rather than forcing change, body code follows the body's natural order of healing, and sometimes a physical symptom is addressed first. Other times, the body reveals an emotional or subconscious layer that needs attention before the physical relief can occur. So by identifying and releasing these imbalances, body code helps reduce stress on the system as a whole. When the body no longer has to compensate or for unresolved emotional or energetic strain, it can move toward greater balance, resilience, and ease. And this approach supports healing in layers and works best when combined with other forms of care, honoring both the body's wisdom and the client's readiness. So now I'm going to hand it off to Beverly. She's going to go over a little bit more about body code.
Yeah, because you brought something up. A lot of times things are trapped, and if you, say for instance, if you have a trapped emotion in your shoulder, okay, and you've had shoulder pain your entire life, you can go and get a surgery. That shoulder pain may not go away because if there's a trapped emotion there or anything energetic, it's still going to stay there. It's still going to be there. So by releasing the energies in various ways, it actually exacerbates healing, and in many times it can actually alleviate the discomfort because your pain may be coming from simply an emotion that's trapped or some kind of energetic toxin or anything like that. So
I think he even covers that in the book. Couple of stories about where he's done a session on somebody and almost immediate.
Exactly. The beautiful thing about reading the books is that you will get a lot of information just from reading the books. Even if you decide you don't want to ever practice it on yourself or go see an energy code, body code person, reading the books,
just having that knowledge,
will give you a lot of good information. It might help you understand a lot more than what you understood before. For instance, toxins is one of the big things these days because of the things that they put in our food, in our air, in our water. And we get exposed to them, and a lot of people walk around certain times and they're like, why do I feel so awful? I'm having allergy issues. I've got bloating, I've got, whatever,
right,
inflammation and things like
right.
that. A lot of times, if you go in and release the energy from that food, whether it's preservative, whether it's a GMO, whatever it is, you're releasing it and you're done. You don't have to worry about it becoming worse than it could be.
Right.
One thing that I've found as an artist is that I have to be careful about getting exposed to cadmium.
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize how much cadmium is actually in paints and stuff, and it is even in makeup right now. But cadmium is one of those things that kept coming up with me continuously because I'm a messy artist. So I would never want to put gloves on, and I'm just like, I'm just going to slather it all over my hand. Well, when I would go to my session, to do a session that night, cadmium would come up, and I would realize it was because I didn't use my gloves. Yeah. So I have since been very diligent about trying to use my gloves. Dishwashing liquid, same thing. It would be household chemical would come up, and I'm like, okay, what did I get exposed to?
Right.
So,
but everybody's body is different.
Exactly.
So whatever your body is sensitive to may not be that for somebody else.
Exactly. These are things that my body is sensitive to,
right,
on an energetic level and can pick up more than somebody else might. Like I could use a specific type of soap or laundry detergent and it not bother me, might bother you, and vice versa.
Right.
Like I try not to use anything scented because I just don't like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But there's a whole bunch of stuff like pathogens and misalignments. Nutrition and lifestyle is a really good one because it helps you. There's a whole section in there where it helps you figure out if you need to go and have a Reiki session or acupuncture, or if you literally just need to focus on creating more art, listening to more music, getting out in nature. I mean, it has a whole bunch of selections. If you're lacking a color that you need to get exposed to,
Right.
I found early on that it was a specific time of the year and I wasn't getting outside enough, so I needed the color green because green is my color and I like my trees.
Right.
And so just by walking outside more often, I was able to enhance that color in me and help heal that part
And that's
of
something
me.
that we learned too in Reiki, like,
Mhm.
just different tones, different musical notes,
Exactly.
different genres of music.
Mhm.
Your body
Frequency.
responds to that frequency, that vibration,
Yep.
even though you may not like, say, rap. Your
Mhm.
body may need that vibration, that frequency that comes from that type of music.
That's true. Like I have family members who prefer to listen to more toned down music, and then I have friends who would rather listen to heavy metal, hardcore type stuff where it depends on my mood as to what I
Right.
listen to. But frequencies absolutely do affect us. And one of the things that I started finding when I started practicing the emotion code body code was that I would start to notice that there were days where I didn't feel quite right. I would be sluggish or just angry or something like that. And I would realize that somewhere I was getting exposed to a frequency that wasn't resonating with my body. And so what I
Right.
started asking was, is there a frequency I can listen to that will help kind of counter this other frequency? And so, of course, YouTube is full of any kind of frequency you could possibly imagine. Something like,
Right.
okay, yeah. And so I would use, the pendulum to ask what frequency I needed. And sure enough,
Yeah.
almost every single time, I find 10 hertz is a really good frequency for me
Yeah.
to just calm things down. But yeah,
But even
music.
colors, we even learn
Mhm.
about colors, how if you get exposed to certain colors, or like, I tell clients that go through anger issues or something, to stay away from the color red.
Red.
And you want to counteract that with an antidote. A lot of these colors in the meridians and the chakras
Yep.
have the antidote colors to kind of help calm that and bring you from an overactive, chakra to where,
Right.
to something more subtle and more balanced.
Yeah, and because I studied feng shui for so long, that was already a part of some of my understanding as well, because you learn about colors and how they affect you and how the arrangement of things work. And so doing the emotion code body code was almost like the next step
Yeah.
in learning some of the stuff that I've learned about how energy works and how it needs to flow. And practicing feng shui, you see how energy flows in your life, in your home, your car, your business, your bedroom, whatever. But you often forget that your energy has to flow in your body too.
Yeah.
And so by releasing all this emotional trauma, then your body gets to flow like your house does. And since Jennifer, I'm going to tell y'all, is notorious for rearranging her office and it looks amazing every single time. But I walk in every time and I'm like, oh my gosh, this works for what you're needing to do right now.
Well,
It's
yeah,
like
because
she's
I'll
some-
tell you, like,
feng
I
shui
don't know,
me.
man, something just didn't seem right. Something still felt off, and
Yep.
so I'd rearrange it,
Mhm.
And my mom likes to rearrange furniture too. I will give her that. But like, when something feels off,
Yep.
and you have to listen to your intuition, that inner voice of like, okay, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. My husband likes to hunt. Here for the longest time, I had trophies on the
You
wall.
took them down.
I did take them down.
Oh my God, I
We
just
finally got them
realized.
out of the office.
She finally got the deer heads down. Woohoo!
It was not.
I knew
I don't-
something felt really, really
in the
different.
beginning it was kind of nice. I had a lot of clients that liked to hunt.
Right.
They didn't mind it, but then as I got on and started expanding my business and expanding my clientele base, it just was like, man, like.
She even tried
started
adorning them with
decorating them.
Christmas decorations.
we had them decorated for
Hey,
every holiday.
We could have done Mardi Gras soon.
I
but,
know, my husband would walk in and he'd just shake his head, and I'm like, well, if you get them out of here, they won't get decorated so much.
I do love it. I just
But it
realized
was
that
a
I
way
love
for
it.
me to honor their spirit. It was, a lot of people don't. I'm that type of person that feels strongly about honoring something that we have ended. Whether
Right.
it's we've cut a tree down in our yard, I try to take a part of that tree and bring it into my office, and honor the life of that tree, because it had to be cut down because it had halfway fallen, and you just have to do that
No,
sometimes.
I
And
understand.
when we hunt, it was a thing that my husband wanted to teach our children, and he finds joy in doing it, and it helps our family. It brings us food, um, and it's a way to honor them in their life for you know giving back to us.
Absolutely. There's something I want to bring up real quick because I keep forgetting. Toxins and pathogens are very interesting because people don't realize that you can literally get a bug bite
Hmm.
when you're a child,
Hmm.
and that energy can stay trapped in your body.
Oh,
I have
yeah.
had so many things at the age of 5. So many people have things trapped at the age of 5, and I don't even understand
Yes.
why. But like aluminum from cooking, cookware and stuff. But bug bites,
Yeah.
I started finding that interesting when I realized that I'm like, are you kidding me? I had a bug bite at the age of 5 and it's still bothering me now. But the venom is still there.
Yeah.
That energy, because people
Well, and
don't realize
surgeries. I had a client who had some surgeries done when they were 2 or 3 years old, and it's something that you wouldn't think that they would remember,
Mm-hmm.
but it has actually left trauma within them, from that surgery.
Oh, yeah. I have a friend who had to go through an extremely serious surgery at the age of 7.
Hmm.
And that little body had a lot of stuff still trapped in it, even though the friend doesn't have memory of a lot of it. The
The
energy was
subconscious
still
does,
trapped
yeah.
there. Yeah. So I helped release a lot of that.
And I think that's where a lot of parents lose sight is that, like I've said before, and I do advocate for teenagers because we do as parents, we lose sight. I've got 3 kids, oldest is 30 and
Yeah.
my middle's 22 and my youngest is 17. And so, I try to advocate for a lot of their friends, and because as parents, we lose sight of the fact that they're humans too. They're
Mm-hmm.
not just our children.
Right.
We don't own them. You know, you don't. I've heard a lot of parents say, "Well, I own them. They're my kid." Well,
No, you don't.
you don't own them. You know
No.
what I'm saying? But we lose sight that they have issues. They've
Mm-hmm.
got emotional trauma they're going through. They've got stressors from school. They've got stressors from work.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And that's the beautiful thing about this is that you can actually help your friends and family
yeah,
if they allow you. They just need to give permission. They don't, like Jennifer said, you can use a surrogate. They don't even have to be in your presence. A lot of the work that I do is long distance. I'm
Yeah.
using myself as the surrogate, but I'm able to release it for friends or get communication of some kind that helps them understand what's going on.
permission is key, though. You must
Yes.
get their permission.
You have to get permission, and not everybody's going to give you permission.
Right.
I had a friend who really wanted me to work on her husband, but her husband's subconscious did not want to give me permission because he doesn't like to accept help.
Right.
Now, later on, at a different time, he did, but that
Right.
first time it was that no.
And it's something that, free will has got to be respected.
Oh, absolutely.
Has to be respected.
Yeah. And like you said, also, your body is not going to release anything that it's not ready to release. When I first started practicing on myself, I was so curious about heart walls. I thought, oh my gosh, once I get those heart walls out, they're going to be gone forever. But do you know it took a long time for the heart walls to actually start coming up? Because when you first start practicing, it's like, is this an emotion or is this a heart wall?
Right.
Emotions, 9 times out of 10, emotions are the first things that are going to come up to get released.
Well, it's layered, like we were
exactly.
saying. It's going to be layered. I mean, think about it. Especially if you've got inherited trauma.
Exactly.
You've got so many layers, of life. Especially for us in our 50s.
Mhm.
That's 50 years plus if we go into inherited stuff.
Yep.
That needs to be fixed. You know the history of me and the stuff that I've gone through in my life, and none of it, a lot of it's not pretty. A lot of it
Right.
I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy, but I've learned in all these years that what I've gone through is what I needed to go through to be able to relate to my clients.
Exactly.
If I hadn't gone through all these horrible things that I've gone through, well, how can I even understand what they're going through? You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't relate to what they're saying, so how can you help them?
When I was younger, I remember I used to think to myself, why am I getting exposed to this and this and this and this?
Mhm.
Just a little tidbit of this and a little tidbit of that, never anything so traumatizing I couldn't get over it. And I realized that I needed to get exposed to those things for the same reason.
Right.
I had no idea I would be doing any of the stuff that I'm doing right now when I was a kid and I was going through all of it, but it makes
Right.
sense now.
It makes sense now. Yeah,
Mhm.
it does.
Because you can really put yourself, you don't ever, okay, let me say this first of all. You don't ever want to try and take on the emotional trauma of someone. You're there to release it,
Right.
not take it on, because I have had situations where I have accidentally taken on someone's emotional trauma or even physical trauma. Being an empath, it's easy to do. I had
Right.
a friend who took on my physical trauma recently and found out very quickly that's not a very safe thing to do.
Right.
So the whole idea behind all of this is just to release it into the energy, the atmosphere, into the ether, whatever, transmute into something more positive, more beautiful.
Right.
It doesn't need to be in anybody's body anymore.
Right.
Just-
And it's all about intention, it's
Exactly.
the intention of want to heal. It's the intention of wanting to release and let this go and move on, and not to sit there and have this trauma like consume you.
Exactly.
I mean, I've got a lot of clients where it just consumes them.
Yep, and victims, people who play the victim card and want to remain in that victim
Yeah.
state of mind,
Yeah.
they're always going to be there. If they refer to themselves as a victim, I've been abused, I've been traumatized, and that's the only
Right.
thing that ever comes out of their mouth, until they get to the point where they, like you said, are ready, it's not going to help them. So the emotion code works for people who are ready to release,
Right.
to acknowledge what's happened to them and move on.
Right.
Yeah, if you're trying to hold on to something, then you may as well just hold on to it.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're not going to ever forget it. I mean, it's made you who you are right now in this moment. I'm not trying to forget the horrible stuff that's happened to me. I have released all the emotion attached to it, and I can look back on it as a learning
Exactly.
tool. As horrible as that sounds.
No, everything is a
But
learning experience.
you know what I'm saying? Like, but for people who are going through it now, for people who have gone through certain things recently, like, it's horrible, and I'm not saying that what you're going through, is something that you're going to get past right now. It's
Right.
not. It took me a long time to get past what happened to me and the things that happened to me, and there is a way to get there.
Emotional trauma is often so much harder on people than physical
Yeah.
trauma, because the emotions are it's like they become a part of you. You may have a scar from a surgery that you had, but
Right.
9 times out of 10, that scar is going to go away and you're going to forget about it. Or even if it's there, it's just a reminder. But the emotions
Emotions
that you
are
felt
huge. Emotions
during,
are huge.
yeah, before, during, and after the situation, that's what's going to hang on.
Yeah.
So that's why this type of practice, I think, is so important, because emotional trauma is really, it affects every single person. It affects animals.
Right.
I mean, you know
Oh,
this.
yeah, we know. Yeah, I
I've
know
had
this.
to release things from my cats,
Yeah.
and other animals before, and you wouldn't really think about it, but they
And I
feel the
thi-
same things. And Dr. Bradley actually
Yeah.
mentions a story about a horse.
Yeah, and I think that's too where we lose sight, not just with our children, but with our animals.
Mm-hmm.
That they're a living species, just like we
Yep.
are. So they have the emotions. And I hear many times people say, "Well, they don't know what they don't understand."
Oh,
Or,
they
yes,
know.
they do.
And I
They're
mean,
super
even
smart.
plants.
Yeah,
Plants can feel the emotions.
Yep.
I'm just curious. Maybe I need to go and do some emotion code on my plants. I'm going to try that, right?
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, why not?
yeah. All right. Well, I think we can go ahead and move on to segment 3, the heart code and the emotional protection. So one of the most powerful concepts within emotion code is the heart code, or otherwise known as heart wall. Dr. Bradley Nelson's The Heart Code focuses on recognizing and dismantling heart walls, which are energetic barriers created by the subconscious to shield against emotional distress. These walls hinder love, connection, and potential. The book provides a detailed, step-by-step approach to eliminate these barriers, leading to enhanced joy, health, and fulfillment across all aspects of life. It builds upon his earlier work, The Emotion Code, and incorporates muscle testing again and energy psychology to tap into the heart's genuine healing abilities, drawing from decades of expertise. So a heart wall is a barrier of trapped emotions that forms around the heart, often after emotional pain, heartbreak, or trauma. The intention is protection. The heart builds a wall to keep from being hurt again, but over time the wall can block not only pain, but also love, connection, intuition, creativity, and even physical heart health. Many people describe feeling emotionally guarded, disconnected, or stuck in repeating relationship patterns. Releasing a heart wall is a gradual, gentle process, and for many people it's life-changing. I have been asked, can a broken heart syndrome be related to a heart wall? Emotion code and heart code practitioners may view broken heart syndrome as energetically associated with the heart wall formation or intense emotional shock, but not as a medical cause. In the medical context, a broken heart syndrome, which is also called stress-induced cardiomyopathy, is a recognized medical condition typically triggered by intense emotional shock, grief, loss or trauma, or extreme stress. It involves temporary changes in the heart function and must always be diagnosed and treated medically. Emotion code does not diagnose, treat, or explain the psychological mechanism of this condition. Energy healing perspective for this is that the energetic and emotional standpoint from practitioners have observed intense emotional trauma often leads to the formation of a heart wall. The heart wall forms as a protective response, not a malfunction. Emotional shock can cause the heart to energetically contract or guard itself. A heart wall may develop during or after profound emotional distress. A heart wall may persist long after the physical event has resolved, and the emotional imprint may continue to affect emotional openness, stress response, sense of safety, or energetic flow through the heart area. This is correlation, not causation. So let me explain this connection. With medical science recognizes that the extreme emotional stress can temporarily affect the heart. In energy work, we often see that similar experiences lead to emotional protection around the heart, sometimes called a heart wall. Releasing trapped emotions may support emotional healing, but it does not replace medical care. In my practice, I do not diagnose conditions or claim to cure illness. Instead, I work in partnership with each client, supporting their body's natural ability to restore balance, and this work is most effective when a client is open and willing to participate in their own healing process. As true change begins with readiness and intention, as we discussed earlier. Even after physical recovery, clients may experience emotional numbness, fear of connection, anxiety about stress, difficulty trusting their body, and guardedness around love or vulnerability. In these cases, the heart wall work may support emotional recovery, helping the heart feel safe again energetically. So what heart wall work does not claim is that an explanation why broken heart syndrome occurs, prevent medical conditions, heal heart muscle damage, or replace cardiology care. However, it does aim to release emotional shock, support the nervous system regulation, and restore emotional openness, and help the body move out of protection mode. Again, this work is most effective when a client is open and willingness to participate in their own healing process. I'll explain a little bit more about that in just a second. Heart wall work supports emotional and energetic healing after an emotional trauma. Any heart-related medical condition should always be evaluated and treated by a healthcare professional because extreme emotional stress can affect the heart physically. In energy work, we often help the heart release emotional protection that formed during a stressful time, so energy and emotions can flow more freely again. I view this work as a supportive complement to medical and mental health care. Clients are encouraged to remain under the care of their physicians and therapists, and this practice is intended to work alongside, not replace, those services by supporting emotional and energetic balance. This work can help clients feel more grounded and resilient as they continue their care. Collaboration and respect for each client's broader healthcare team are an important part of my approach. So when I talk about the being able to, willingness to participate in your own healing process, for me, Beverly, I've had clients who will call me for a session, right? And then go around and do something that just dismantled what I just did, and so they call and want you to do it again.
Self-sabotage.
Right, and so I have to explain to them, I'm not your Band-Aid. Like, this has to be something you're willing to do, or I've had people say, well, why can't you just fix me? Well, that's not how it works. That's just not how it works.
And you've spoken about that before on other podcasts.
Yeah. So, about the heart wall, what can you tell us a little bit about that?
I can tell you about my personal experience with it.
Okay.
And it goes along with what you've said, because I dealt with a lot of emotional numbness
Okay.
and trauma from my parents,
Mm-hmm.
from experiences that I had that affected me, that they caused. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And it caused me to shut off, to close myself off, and just numb. I mean, I felt numb
Yeah.
most of the time. And so when I was joking a while ago, I was like, oh, I really want my heart wall. You know, I want to find those heart walls and release them.
Yeah.
I wasn't really joking. I knew that there was something. The heart wall is more powerful than just a trapped emotion.
Yeah.
When you open up those heart walls and you release them, it's like unplugging a sink
Right.
and letting things flow that never flowed before. So now I'm going to have to get into the paranormal just a little bit, because once I started working on my own personal heart walls and releasing the fears,
Mhm.
because I had fear built around religious beliefs, I had fear built around the way a relationship is supposed to work.
Right.
I had the wrong idea about a mother-father relationship, all kinds of things. And then there were other physical trauma issues that went on as well. But once I started working on releasing the emotions and releasing the heart walls and everything, that's when Jennifer got to take over. Because what happened is my mom and my dad, and this is not going to happen for everybody, trust me, so don't get freaked out. This is just me because I'm open to it. But my mom and dad on the other side came through. They were also going through healing on the other side. And so since I was going through healing on this side and releasing the heart walls that were blocking, that really needed to be fixed while they were alive but didn't get fixed, they're getting fixed from the other side.
Right.
Through Jennifer's help, because I'm open to it, because my mom and dad both needed that release and things on the other side. For me, the heart wall was like a whole new world opening up to me, because that's what mine led to.
Right.
That, again, that's not everyone, probably hardly anyone. The point is, the heart wall is such a strong, it's like a strong box with a key and a lock.
Yep.
That once you open that lock, everything can flow so much properly.
Right.
Your life can just flow in the direction that you want it to flow in, and you don't. A lot of times, people don't even know that they have these blockages.
Right. Well, I mean, think about it. The heart chakra, right? So work is based on relationships, love, and it just doesn't have to be relationships, love interests. It's family, it's friends, it's coworkers.
It's yourself.
It's yourself. It's, love is deep. Love just doesn't go with, oh, I love you or this. No, man, love is an action. Love is an action of how you treat yourself. Love is an action of how you treat others. And think about all the relationships we've had to go through, just from birth to now, of friendships, boyfriend, girlfriend stuff, family, parents who get divorced and remarried and divorced and remarried. And, then if you've had a parent that has been unfaithful, or you have a partner that's been unfaithful, or, when you're a teenager, it's horrible when you're a teenager, and imagine your boyfriend or girlfriend cheating on you or whatever. Yeah. All this gets trapped, and people don't realize all these emotions. You think you've healed from it, but your subconscious, you have held on to something. You have kept part of that energy with you, which is why when I do cutting cords or explain cutting cords to clients, you've got to call your energy back. You can't just cut your cords and cut all this, because it does go deeper, and you have all this still out there. You've got to call all that back, and people just don't understand how strong that heart wall, that heart chakra, all of that is when it comes to love and relationships and security and protection and grounding. Like, it's everything.
Yeah, a lot of this is about really coming into your own personal power.
Right.
Realizing that you are a sovereign being, and you are a powerful being, and you've let all of these other events from everyone
take
that you've
hold of you.
encountered, they close you off. And when you're closed off to love, especially self-love, because
Yep.
that's one of the biggest things that I work on is self-love. And for most people, that's the one thing they will work around. They will think that everybody else is the cause of every single one of their problems, and it's really not.
Yeah, that all this is dismantled and dismantled and dismantled,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really, you have to take responsibility
Right.
at some point.
What I've learned is, you are the divine being.
Yep.
You were created to be who you are, to look what you look like, to sound the way you sound, to be where you are, just to be you.
Right.
Nobody else in this world is supposed to be like you. You're not supposed to look like a magazine model.
Nope.
You're supposed to look like you're supposed to look. And we compare ourselves to so many other people, whether they're better looking, whether they're smarter, whether they are more talented at something,
Right.
whether they're more in their profession,
Well, and our
maybe they're more
appearance has to
productive.
go on with the lessons we have to learn.
Exactly.
If we change our appearance, then you're changing your lessons. You're changing your destiny.
Yeah.
Well, now you've just thrown yourself off track from where you're supposed to be, all because you want to look like somebody else.
Right.
But that's not how you're supposed to look.
Right.
This is who you're supposed to be.
And in this society, it's real easy for you to start
It's
comparing yourself to somebody
it
else.
is, especially with social media nowadays.
Oh, absolutely.
It's
Yeah,
horrible.
and now with all the AI stuff and everything looks all perfect and stuff and airbrushed.
I cannot tell half them things apart.
I can't either sometimes. I know.
My kids are like, Mom, that's AI.
I know.
was like, well, it's fun to watch.
The kids are so much easier. They're so much better at picking it out. I can't. I'm like, I don't know. It looks real to me.
Yeah.
Sure, that pig walking around with a telephone. Why not?
I like watching that baby dance.
Yeah, that baby talking to each other. Sure, they're just toddlers. I know they can say 5 sentences already. But yeah, the heart wall I think is the most important part. Like you said before, it's like releasing in layers.
Mhm.
But you can't jump into the heart wall. Most of the time, you're going to have to go through layers and layers of emotion stuff. Then you're going to get to the heart walls.
Yeah.
And then, really once the heart wall kicks in, then you can focus on like the body stuff.
Right.
But you can do the body stuff obviously before the heart walls, but it does come in layers because
Yeah.
the more you peel, the more open you are to healing. Just
Yeah.
like you were saying, the person who thinks that you need to fix them. You're just a facilitator. We're not here to fix anybody. We're here to try to fix ourselves.
Right.
That you can't fix somebody. And if you keep going back and self-sabotaging, which I have done,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to sugar, I'm sorry, I hate to say it, I'm working on it. I do have my downfalls. I'm sorry, but I mean, I tell you, I'm almost everything, it's like sugar comes up. I know.
I have
I'm
to
gonna
have
release
my
that
coffee.
sugar.
My husband yells at me all the time about
Caffeine
my
and
coffee.
coffee.
Because sometimes the worst part for me is, and he just rolls his eyes. He gets so tired of it. But like at night, I'll have such a craving for coffee as a dessert.
I know.
And then my stomach starts to cramp, and he's like, I don't even want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. It's like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and you just had a cup of coffee. He goes, nope. But, it is self-sabotage for me but I had that craving. And so,
Right.
but whatever emotional thing that I'm going through
Mm-hmm.
called for that,
Right.
and that was not the right choice, obviously. But, we're human,
We are.
and sometimes those cravings call us. And
Sometimes you just have to do what you have to do to get through that
sometimes
moment.
you just need a cup of coffee.
That's right. Sometimes we need a cup of coffee, even if our heart's racing. And we're
I wish
bouncing off the
everybody
walls.
could see my cup of coffee
I
right here.
Oh my gosh, she's got like a gallon-sized cup
So,
of coffee.
I have a neighbor who she's amazing, Heather,
What does that say?
and she was out of work for a little bit, and so every morning I'd go over there and we'd have a cup of coffee and maybe a little breakfast thing, and so anyhow she gave me, it says I'm down to just 1 cup a day, and this is probably what
It looks like about a half a
like
gallon.
a half a
at
gallon
least.
coffee cup. Have I used it? No, I'd probably be dead.
Oh, I
if
don't think you could consume that much coffee.
If I drank that much coffee. But yeah, we're all victims of self-sabotage.
Mhm.
All of us. If you say you're not really being honest with yourself.
And they say that the heart is the seat to the soul.
Yep.
And if that's true and your soul is on a certain path, then the more that you release the heart walls, the more clarity your soul can get. I know me
Yep.
personally, my soul has been speaking to me a lot stronger now that I've released the emotions and the heart walls and things
Yep.
like that. And so now I have a clearer direction of where my soul wants me to go and what it wants me to do in this lifetime.
Well, and even for people who have sensitivities, who are empaths, who are
Mhm.
mediums, who are, different light workers, clearing all of this off of you, like, man, it enhances your
Mhm.
abilities so much. And sometimes I have to warn my clients who do have these abilities, like, hey, going through Reiki, going through emotion code, body code, like, you're going to feel it more now.
Mhm.
You're going to be enhanced with your gifts just a little bit more. And they'll call me and they're like, dude, like, I just walked outside and it's like so bright. And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah,
yeah,
it's like opening up like turning a light on
it is.
inside of you. A lot of my heart walls were fear
Hmm.
based, and so once I released those, I was able to seek different things that I was afraid, or approach different things that I was afraid to approach before, whether it
Yeah,
be in a relationship or in my personal life, or things like that.
yeah,
So, and again, it may seem like you're not doing anything because you're just going, oh, okay, here's a heart wall, blah, 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 we're going to release it. But you'd be surprised,
right.
especially when you're open to
It
it.
may seem like nothing, seriously,
Mm-hmm.
guys, when you're going through it. It's like, because she's done it on me, and I'm like, but
Mm-hmm.
trust me, I feel so much better afterwards. It's like, because I mean, even us as Reiki masters or mediums, I mean, we're not, immune to
Right.
emotional trauma.
I mean, we can probably collect more emotional trauma if we wanted to, especially if we suck it up from people we know, which we
That's what
have
I'm
to be
saying.
careful
So yeah,
about.
oh yeah, I have to warn clients all the time who are empaths, like,
Mm-hmm.
you can't, you have to, you can't take on somebody else's stuff just because you want to take it away from them, because now
Right.
and it's not just an emotional thing that you've taken from them. You can take on, like you said, their physical pain.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know, being an empath, like, I'll be driving down the road or something and be sitting next to somebody, and I mean, just an overwhelm of anxiety.
Yep.
I can't breathe. The minute I drive past this car, I'm good.
Oh, I've had that actually in a city before.
Yeah.
It was overwhelming when I drove past the city,
Mhm.
and when I drove back through it, before and after, I was perfectly
Yeah,
fine.
we went out of town, me and the kids. I took them, I can't even remember where now. But to Atlanta, to Georgia, to see my older son's girlfriend. And we went into this Five Below. Beverly, I'm gonna tell you right now, I had to walk right back out.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, and it's not, I mean, they were busy, but no more busier than the Five Belows here, But I walked in there, and the energy in that place was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I couldn't breathe. I started, like, hyperventilating. Like, I had an anxiety attack. I had to walk outside, and the kids were like, "What is going on?" And I was like, I can't go in there. Y'all are gonna have to do it." And my daughter couldn't stand being in there. I mean, it was
Mm-hmm.
just too heavy. It was bad. It was really bad. And I think none of us ended up getting anything, except I think her boyfriend got a drink or something. But we ended up having to leave. We just couldn't even shop.
Yeah, that sounds like one of those you need to go back to and see if it's haunted.
Oh man, it was so bad. I've never walked into a place that heavy, like, never.
Right.
And this Walmart over here in my town is, oof,
Is it similar?
yes, not as bad as this. But I just kind of walk in. I don't make eye contact with nobody if I don't have
Mm-hmm.
to. I walk in, get what I got to get, and walk back out.
I
And then
don't
I'm
blame
sitting in
you.
the car, like, cutting them cords, trying to get all this juju off me, because it's bad. It's
Mm-hmm.
bad. It can be bad, and people don't understand, for empaths. That.
You actually bring up something very important. One of the main things about the emotion code is it absorbed? Is it
Hmm.
shared? Or is it inherited? Those are the three things that you start asking immediately, because you can absorb or share something. Like if you hurt yourself, and if somebody hurt themselves and you're there and you watched it, you may be sharing in that experience, and it may have caused you an emotional trauma. You can absorb it, like we're talking about
Yeah.
when you pick things up from other people. You can absolutely absorb things from other people. So those are the three main things that I always checked in the very beginning, whether it was absorbed, shared, or inherited, and that would then guide me. And a lot of times, it's like, do I need to know who it's absorbed from? Not necessarily, but almost all the time, I needed to know what age it became trapped.
I will say too, we have to throw in there items and artifacts.
Oh yeah, because Jennifer deals with the paranormal so much, and
Yep.
she's right. Having dealt with the feng shui stuff, I learned things you pick up from yard sales, when you inherit things from your grandparents or
They
your
hold energy.
parents, they all hold energy. I was trying to explain to a lady not too long ago. She was asking me about some of it, and I tried to explain to her that even though you've got this mylar cabinet or metal cabinet or whatever, this holds energy. because it came from a living being, even though it was transformed into a different form.
Yep.
The energy from the workers, from the people who delivered it, from the stores
All has
that
energy.
they're in, the people
Yep.
that work in those stores.
Yep.
All that energy gets absorbed. And so, yes, you can absolutely inherit stuff.
And then if
from
it's an
objects.
item that was cherished, so say if you go to,
Mhm.
let's say a pawn shop,
Yep.
and you buy a ring
that somebody had to pawn.
that somebody had to pawn.
Right.
I mean, imagine the emotions on that ring of, for one, when it was given to them, that
Mhm.
excitement, right? And then any trauma that they've experienced
Yep.
while wearing that ring, and then the trauma of having to get rid of it because of financial desperation of
Or
needing some
divorce,
money, or
breakup or
divorce.
something,
Yeah.
yeah.
So people don't understand that you can,
Mhm.
take on that energy from just a simple item.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, yard sales and things like that. And you don't have to be an empath
Nope.
for those to affect you.
Nope.
So if you're having some issues and you've just inherited some stuff from your parents or your grandparents, you might really want to consider, checking on some of that just in case. Because I went through my house literally last year and got rid of a bunch of stuff
Yeah.
because I asked, does this hold some type of negative energy?
Right.
Does it need to be in my house? And I got rid of stuff that I would not have thought that I needed to get rid of, but once I got rid of it, I felt better.
Well, yeah, I mean, just like on TV, the haunted collector, Johnny Zaffis.
Mm-hmm.
He has a whole museum full of artifacts that were haunted that caused all these people not just like physical trauma, but emotional trauma, just
Mhm.
having it in their home. Like, people just don't understand, like, it is a real thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Thank you for bringing that up.
You have
because,
your
yeah,
skeptics out there, but I will tell you,
You know what? There's going to be skeptics about
for everything,
Yeah.
everything.
But for those of us who have experienced these things, we know that they're true.
Yes.
So yeah, when your friend gives you sage, you use it.
Yes.
And she did. I have a whole bunch of sage.
All right, so, I wanted to go, like, back in the body code. So can you go over with them a little bit of, like, so pick one of the cores and then an associated. So they kind of have an idea what, like, an associated. So, all right, so one of them is what, like, toxins, right?
Okay, yeah, there's, here, let's look at the book real quick. We've got energies, circuits and systems, toxins.
So go to your energies. So
Okay.
when you go under energies
Mhm.
on the body code map,
Okay.
so then it gives you what options?
It gives you emotional energies, allergies and ideas, post-traumatic energies, and offensive energies.
All right, so
Let me change real quick. I have to add this because I
Oh,
have
yeah,
altered
yeah,
this.
yeah.
I do not like the fact that it says offensive energies
Right.
because the work that I do, I understand that when spirits come through, even not just spirits, I've had other things come through, we won't go into that right now. I have changed that word to other energies
right.
because offensive energies makes you fear.
And that's where we're different from the
Right.
person who wrote the book.
Exactly.
They
There's
may
nothing to
not be an
fear.
empath, they may not be a medium. So, Dr. Bradley Nelson is amazing. And the other practitioners that have gotten certified may not be mediums,
Exactly.
may not be empaths, may not intuitively get what we get.
Right.
So we're on a different level from some other practitioners.
Yes, because Jennifer and I both are energetic healers, and we both use intuition a lot
A lot.
with our stuff. Okay, so then what you do is if you get emotional energies,
Right.
okay, then you would turn to the emotional energy section, and you've got two choices: trapped emotions or heart wall emotions. And then you'll move on to the little chart. It gives you a chart, and I think she described it briefly, where it's an emotion code chart, and it has 6 rows, column A, column B. And I go and I test, and I'll be like, okay, is it an even number row? Say it's number 2. Yes. I'll go, is it in column A, column B? If it's in column A, I'll say, is it an even number in column A? Yes or no. Is it number 2? Is it number 4? Okay, then I'll get it. So say, for instance, I get the nervousness is what comes up. Then I go through and I say, do I need to know what age it became trapped in the body? Is this inherited? Is it shared? Is it absorbed? And then I can go and say, do I need to know where it's trapped in the body? And then that's where I'll say, is it in a system? Is it in an organ? Is it in a gland? If it's not in any of those 3, it's going to either be in a chakra or a meridian.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Dr. Bradley actually goes over meridians
Right.
in the book. I can't recall because it's been a while since I actually have read through the whole thing. But I've learned that a lot of stuff is trapped in the meridians and the chakras.
Yep.
And for me personally, It's not just the 7 chakras. It goes up to 22
Yeah,
depending
there's
on what
several,
it is.
because there's minor chakras.
Right. So most people are familiar with 1 through 7,
yeah.
but it goes up to 22, and it can be a lot deeper than what you realize. But that's how just the emotion code session goes. And since the body code just goes a little bit deeper, it will also take you to, if there's a chemical imbalance, like if you're getting exposed to a toxin, it gives you a certain list of toxins that you want to check on. There's also a section where it will tell you if you need a certain supplement.
Yeah.
Now, if you go to somebody, and let me just say this as a disclaimer, I'm not a certified emotion code, body code practitioner.
Yes, neither of us are, by the way.
Right. But I have done it for a long enough time that I feel comfortable doing it for myself and my friends,
Right.
and I know enough about it, but I use it for personal healing.
Right.
And any of my friends or family who want to know about it, I'm happy to do a session on them, and I have done plenty. But if you go to a professional, they might suggest some type of other type of supplement or something like that, depending on how deep you want to go into it. But I don't find that I need that type of stuff right now. If I want to do that, I'll go and get nutrition testing done, and
Right.
then I'll get that. But basically, that's what you do. And I will say, Jennifer brought something else up too. When you do a session, you really need to only do a little at a time. When I first started, my body would only let me do, say, maybe 5 emotions. The more I got into it, the more my body allowed me to release during one session. Because if you try to release a whole bunch of stuff at once, it can actually cause your nervous system to go into overdrive without realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
You can get exposed to too much, you can release too much, and you might cause yourself more emotional trauma, honestly,
Yeah, I
without
think for
realizing
a couple of clients that I've done, their first sessions was only maybe 1 or 2
Yeah.
things. And, I'd be like, do we need to go? Is there anything associated? No. Do we need to go back to the body map? No.
Right.
Are we done for today? Yes.
And I'm glad you brought that up too, because when you were talking earlier, there are times where, for instance, if I went to the emotion of discouragement, found out all I needed to know about it, what age it became trapped, why it was there, so on and so forth, where it was at. When I go to swipe to release it, if energetically I am not able to swipe, that I know that there's something else that's also associated it. So I will say, and it tells you in the book, you can also say,
Yeah, it walks you through the steps
is there
on what to
something else
ask.
associated with it? I've learned at this point that if it doesn't swipe, there's something else associated with it. And oddly enough, it might give me the same exact emotion, but it may be from a different time or from a different person, or if there was other people associated with a specific event or something.
Yeah, I've had a couple
Yeah.
come up where nutrition has been
Mhm.
and lifestyle, but in the subcategory has been different.
Yeah, for that's usually always different. I just find that every now and then, either the same age will bring up multiple emotions, or that same emotion will come up multiple times.
Yeah.
So, yeah, every now and then something associated is going to come up. But basically, that's all there is to it. And if you go to a practitioner, they're going to basically do the same thing. They're going to go and say, hey, they're going to ask your higher self for permission.
Right.
Thank you for being there. They're going to go through the steps. They might not speak out loud, so you may
Right.
not know what they're doing. They're going to refer to their app, because that's typically what most of the professionals just use, their apps. And it'll bring up different things that may not be in the book.
Right.
Because I think it goes a little bit deeper into
I'm
the
a paper
app.
person. I like my books.
I'm a paper person. I like my book.
I like
Y'all,
to make
if-
notes on my book. Digital stuff can not work at sometimes.
And if
So I'd
y'all-
rather have my book.
Exactly. And if y'all could see my book, Jennifer's got a copy, and I got a copy. Mine is so worn that the front, it has no hardcover anymore. It looks more like a paperback book at this point, because it's a well-loved used book.
Yes.
This is my
So
body
now
code book.
the heart code does the same thing. It falls along the same
Yeah,
premise,
I
correct?
just got the Heart Code, and I just started reading it, but I get the impression that the Heart Code book is basically delving into a little bit deeper of what we were talking about before, about how the heart can hold so much trauma, because
Right.
it goes through the emotion code chart.
Okay.
There's a heart wall flow chart, and it says here, is there a heart wall emotion that can be released now, yes or no? Okay, yeah. So basically, I think this just delves deeper in so that you can understand a little bit more, and I think it gives more stories, which is going to be nice for people to read because it talks about different people's heart wall stories and things
Yeah.
like that.
Things that they might be able to relate to.
Yeah, because in the emotion code and body code, it only goes into detail about the heart wall very briefly. It doesn't go, and
Right.
I think that that's one of the reasons this is such an important book, because it goes into it a little bit more so that you can understand the importance of that heart wall
Yeah.
and how important it is to open up the heart.
Yeah.
Because Dr. Bradley, the one thing he is full of is love.
Yeah.
And most people who do any kind of energy work and stuff, they know that love is the most powerful emotion.
Yep.
And if your body, mind, soul, your heart, if you're trapped off from it, then you're not going to live a fulfilled life. And I
Nope.
think that that's what all this is about, is just opening up and living the life that you're meant to be here to live.
Yeah, I have a lot of clients who keep falling back. They're like, well, I can't just get out of this rut. I can't get out of this rut. And, you try to, in talking with them during enlightenment sessions and stuff like that, you can kind of get an idea of where and why they're in this rut. And it is self-sabotage, a lot of it. A lot of it is accountability. People don't want to take accountability for certain things. Like you were saying earlier, we blame other people for this. We blame, but you're also allowing that to happen. Like, you're not necessarily allowing it to happen, you're allowing the emotions of that situation to overthrow you.
Right. And I will say, because I have been exposed to people who are very willing to let go of things, but I've also been exposed to people who deal with mental disorders like depression and things like that. There is a distinct difference, because a lot of times those disorders themselves will keep you from being able to truly release
Exactly.
some of the stuff. And so when they say things like you were saying, I can't, or
Right.
they're constantly saying, I'm the victim of this, or I was abused by so and so, they're staying in the victim mentality, but they really don't have a way mentally to
Right.
understand how to break free of it. So there are some people that this may not benefit unless they seek professional
Right.
therapy.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, and that was what we were talking about earlier, was that this goes alongside, works in tandem, like most of my other modalities, with professional health care,
Right.
with your psychologist, therapist, your physician, whatever it is that you've got going on. And a lot of people think during doing body code, emotion code, and all that, well, I'm on this medication's blocking me. Well, your subconscious is what's working. It's your subconscious that's going through this. It doesn't have to, it has nothing to do with the medication that you're taking. If you're taking it for a specific reason, you're trying to get the emotions
Right.
from trauma out of there.
I think most people have to understand that everything is made up of energy before they can understand how this works. And once
Yes.
you understand that everything is made up of energy,
Literally
and
everything.
everything, and
Everything.
energy does not go away, it simply transforms.
I mean, think about it. The paper that I have, that my script is on, right, is made of energy, right? Well, because it was cotton at one point, or it was this at one point.
it was a living being, it was a
right,
tree.
that the elements were part of. And so
Exactly.
just because it's broken down and put in, made into paper or made into a book or, whatever, it was still something. At one point from the beginning, it was something.
And even when it's burned to ashes and those ashes float away, they're still here energetically.
Right, right. And people lose sight of this.
They do. And so one of the big things is, if you're ever going to practice any of this, go to a practitioner or practice it yourself, you must understand energy and that it's everywhere.
Yep.
And honestly, once you get that understanding and you realize that pain can be energy, trauma can be energy, and once you release it, like, oh my God.
Right.
Sometimes you're going to go, it was that easy?
Right.
Wow, why didn't I do this
Right.
before?
Yeah. And
You
some
know.
people are scared of it, and it's really not anything to be scared of.
Exactly. It's freeing.
It is. It really is.
This work cannot hurt you.
Yeah.
This is the one modality that you can do that will not harm you.
Yep.
You know?
And I
So-
think it's the fear, that's the trauma itself that's keeping you scared
yeah.
of doing this, which is what we're trying to get rid of.
Exactly.
So, all right, so going into segment 4, now there is a 4th code I have come across in my research, and that is what we're about to cover. So segment 4 is the deepest layer, which is belief code. So the belief code is a form of energy healing that expands upon the emotion code and body code, much like heart code, It aims to identify and eliminate negative, limiting belief systems and subconscious programs that obstruct personal development, health, and happiness. The process utilizes muscle testing again to uncover faulty beliefs or pendulums like what we use, or substitutes them with empowering alternatives frequently associated with past experiences or generational patterns, which we talked about a little while ago. These are beliefs that are formed from experiences, authority figures, trauma, repetition, often early in life. Beliefs like, I'm not good enough, I'm not safe, or I have to struggle to succeed, which is something we talked about too. The I'm not. Even when we consciously want to change, subconscious beliefs can override that desire. Belief code helps identify and release limiting beliefs, emotional reaction, and faulty core beliefs that no longer serve the belief code, and it helps to identify and release the deep sense of alignment where thoughts and emotions and the actions finally can, they match. So the belief code is a new and groundbreaking healing method from the Discover Healing, which is Dr. Bradley Nelson, behind the emotion code and body code. So once a belief becomes ingrained in our subconscious mind, it functions as a directive. One of the roles of the subconscious mind is to attempt to manifest whatever resides within it. For instance, if there is a belief that states, I'll never be likable, it will do everything possible to validate that belief. We may discover that despite our efforts to behave differently, we inadvertently emit signals that drive others away, further reinforcing that belief. The belief we hold manifests in a subtle, often unnoticed behaviors, which are intended to create a specific real-life experience. Typically, we feel quite powerless to change this, no matter how much we may criticize ourselves afterward. So, to effect any change, we must find that a method to reprogram our subconscious beliefs. Some individuals attempt to do this through the repetitive use of positive affirmations, which we're familiar with affirmations. Right. However, these often prove to be ineffective, which I have come to find in cases with many of my clients. This is because, unlike the negative affirmations that initially formed that beliefs, positive affirmations seldom carry the required conviction and emotion. So, which is the language of the subconscious and the pathway to manifestation. Merely using these words has little to no effect, and that's true. I've had a lot of clients, the affirmations just do nothing.
Remind me to tell you about EFT.
Okay. Well, go ahead and tell us.
Okay, I'll interrupt here then, because what she's talking about is something that you can actually utilize EFT, which is emotional freedom technique. And what it is it's just a way of tapping on certain pressure points. You can look them up. You can look up videos on YouTube all day long, and they'll tell you how to do emotional freedom technique. But what you do is you have to get into that emotional state, that headspace. If you're scared of something right now, you can start doing these tappings, and it's like on your head, on the side of your eye. As you're doing it, you're saying, even though I have this fear of so and so,
right,
I completely accept myself. You release it, and when you're able to feel it and touch those pressure points, it can do amazing things for releasing those fears and belief systems.
Yeah.
Because I've done it on myself, on my daughter, other people that I know have done it, and it immediately can release belief systems and fears that are keeping you held back. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. While there are numerous healing techniques that focus on beliefs, the belief code stands out because it does not require us to have a clear understanding of the specific belief we wish to address. The responsibility is no longer ours to bear. Instead, we simply need to arrive with the vision of life we desire, and the belief code will uncover the entire network of beliefs that hinder our progress, subsequently, if I can talk, eliminating them at the source. So this aspect is actually crucial, as many of our self-sabotaging beliefs reside in our subconscious mind, leaving us to only speculate about their nature. We get too caught up in those beliefs. We can never be entirely certain. Even if we could pinpoint them, it would not be particularly beneficial since beliefs often interact and exist in multiple layers. So the belief code is important because it allows us to accurately identify not just individual beliefs that may influence our life patterns, but also broader belief systems they belong to, enabling us to reprogram ourselves and create the kind of life and experiences we generally desire. Dr. Nelson says he has found that the belief code's effectiveness tends to be improved in our heart wall, has already been released. He is the founder of Discover Healing, which we mentioned earlier, and the author of Emotion Code, Body Code, and the Heart Code, and the creator of the Belief Code.
I like that, actually.
Yeah. On the Discover Healing website, which is discoverhealing.com, you can find these 4 core belief codes, which are faulty core identity. A faulty core identity is the origin story of the belief. These beliefs often begin when we are children and absorb the ideas around us without question. These become associated with our identity so closely they become unrecognizable to us. The next one is faulty core belief. The first one was identity, this one is belief. When a negative belief is reinforced and supported by other emotions, the belief begins to grow and even become additional beliefs. It spreads and compounds upon itself, becoming a tangled web of roots that become our belief system. The third one is limiting belief. So when you ask why the belief system exists, you will find that the limiting belief is at the center. The belief is likely something you believe about yourself or the world. You might have no idea that that thought was lingering in your subconscious mind. The fourth one is a negative program. Negative programs are the results of the full system, producing negative automatic thoughts. They are the easiest part of a faulty belief system to perceive and can be recognized as negative self-talk and negative chatter in your mind. So the belief code follows the same simple, easy-to-use process as emotion code and body code, and it uses the mind mapping technology to allow the subconscious to lead practitioners to the belief that needs to be addressed. The belief code is comprised of 7 main categories listed below, with subcategories beneath each, and cascading lists of both negative and positive beliefs. This results in an incredibly efficient process to finding and releasing unwanted beliefs. So in my research, it was kind of like all over the place, the different things I was able to find, because Dr. Bradley Nelson has obviously not written this book about belief code. So what I have here is that the 7 main categories, or the system, from what I found on one, was said divine communication, insight, power, love, passion, and survival. These are the high-level areas the belief code uses to navigate the subconscious mind, and detailed sub-lists is under each. So the sub-detailed list would be identity belief, which is about who you are, which worthy or capable. The next one is ability beliefs, which is about what you can do, so succeed or handle challenges. The third, worthiness beliefs, about deserving good things, love, happiness, etc. The next is security beliefs, about safety and stability in the world. The next is purpose beliefs, about the role and the direction in your life. Relationship beliefs, about the connections with others. And then spiritual beliefs, about the connection to something greater.
I'd like to share a short story,
Okay.
because although I haven't seen the belief code stuff,
I know, I couldn't believe I found it in doing research on all this.
I'll have to look into that more. However, I will say this, from what I've studied, just doing the emotion code, body code, a lot of that stuff comes up.
Mm-hmm.
Something that came up for me at the very beginning, and it covers almost every category of that belief. When I was 5 years old, my mother took the time to show me how to color a coloring book page.
Mm-hmm.
Back when we were kids, that was the big thing to do. We didn't have, iPads and stuff.
And you had to color in the lines.
So we actually, my mom taught me how to trace around the picture, even though, it was already drawn with the dark marker around it.
Right.
You had to go in and you had to trace around it because the crayon gave it a little bit of a groove, and so it was easier to stay on.
Made it pop.
Yeah. So you had to stay in the lines.
Mhm.
I know it was probably a day or two. You know, I'm 5 years old. I took so much delicate time
Mhm.
coloring this picture in. It was beautiful. I think it was beautiful. I think it was. It was so nice. I took it to my teacher. I'll never forget. Her name was Mrs. King. And I took it to her because I did it for her. I was so proud of it. I took so much time and energy, put forth so much time and energy in it. And she took a look at it and she said, "Did your mom help you with this?" And at that moment, literally, that was where one of my heart walls started.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden, I wasn't talented enough.
Right.
I wasn't worthy enough. I wasn't successful enough. It identified me as someone who couldn't do it on my own.
Right.
It embedded so many of those belief systems in me at the tender age of 5. That's why a lot of
With
people...
just that one sentence.
That one sentence, that one reaction of not, "Oh my gosh, I love it, it's beautiful, thank you for making it for me."
And leaving it at that, no.
It was immediately, there's no way that you could have done this by yourself. Someone had to have helped you.
Yeah.
From that moment on, I limited myself as an artist
Mhm.
and as someone who could express themselves.
Yeah.
By doing the emotion code, body code work, of course, I've since opened myself up a lot more, and I understand that that was something that was on her part,
Right.
not on my part.
Right.
But you don't realize how words, like you were saying, we're responsible for the children.
Right.
You have to be careful what you say to your children.
One, how words have energy.
And how you say it to yourself,
And
too.
vibration. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, this goes along. That one story entails all of the emotion
And
code,
we all
the
fall
heart
into
wall.
stuff like that, you know, when
We've all got one of those stories.
when we tell, you know,
We've probably got
children.
multiple stories
Right.
like that.
You know, I
Yeah.
try to be careful when I tell my daughter, and I fail a lot, you know, with my kids. Most parents do, you know, but I try to be mindful of her feelings, be mindful of her emotions, and try not to tell her, oh, you know, just get over this, just get over this.
Right.
Like, you can't really do that, you know, and I have been guilty of doing that, and I have to stop myself and go back and talk to her and be like, no, you know, let's work through this. Let's
Right.
get through this. You're not just going to get over it like...
Work through it before it becomes a trapped
Right,
emotion or
and
a
you
heart
have
wall.
to, you know. All right, so belief code works with the subconscious belief system, which we've talked about, that influences how a person thinks, feels, reacts, and experiences life. These beliefs are often formed early, inherited, or created during emotional stress, and they operate automatically until released. And that's something that's extremely important. They operate automatically.
Exactly.
The system is generally organized in the 7 main belief categories, each layer, subcategories like we talked about. So I'm going to give this paper to Beverly. I want her to look through it and maybe read some of these. It's fairly long. I don't know if y'all really want me to read all of this, but if
Let
she
me
wants
see real
to,
quick.
she can. But it goes over the different subcategories, the categories, but maybe she can either read it or pick out some things.
Okay, yeah, like the core beliefs. Okay, those are the foundational beliefs that shape identity and perception. And common themes make sense. You know, your worth, your safety, belonging, lovability, deserving. And then you've got other categories that go along with that where I'm not enough, I'm unsafe, I don't belong, I'm unlovable, something's wrong with me. And it's funny because if you work on the emotion code, body code books, you'll actually come across a lot of these.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. And then you've got beliefs about the self, how a person sees themselves and their abilities, your self-worth belief, capability, power. So many people are powerless.
Yeah.
They just don't realize we have so much power. You know, and when you walk around saying, I can't trust myself, I'm weak, I don't have what it takes, which is exactly what I did for many years.
But you're putting that negativity already in there.
Exactly.
You're setting yourself up for failure.
You're
then.
just
You're putting that.
reiterating it.
It's the opposite of an affirmation where I can. You're saying I'm not.
Right.
And you're just counteracting that, like.
So yeah, like if you can get to the point where you look at all these and say, I can trust myself.
Right.
I am not weak. And not even say I am weak. I am strong. Like
Right.
completely use the words. Affirmations can be beneficial, but you have to really believe them. Because like you
Yeah.
said, you can say the words all day long, but if you don't release the core.
And that's the biggest problem with a lot of my clients. They just say it like you would say a prayer. I've gone over this before. You know, prayer is so powerful, but man, it has to be, the intention has to be there. You can't just have it as this is a routine that I do every night. I'm going to pray every night. Then you lose that intention. You lose the process that's behind the prayer. You know what I'm saying?
It's more like a repetition. It's
right,
not really
right. And then
feeling
then
it.
people get so caught up on prayer, and you use it as a crutch,
Right.
and then they're like, well, why isn't God helping me? Why isn't the angel stepping in? Well, again, free will. And they can't fix everything. Like, how are you going to learn your lessons if God fixes everything for you, or the angels come in and swoop, and clear everything? Like, you have to take responsibility.
Yeah, and I
You
think that's
have to
where
have accountability.
people forget, you have what you need to do what you need to do.
We have everything we need to heal. Literally
Absolutely.
on this planet. Everything we need to heal outside of,
A
conventional.
cut off limb or something.
Right, like, down to the herbs that we need, the herbs that make the oil that we need. Everything we need is here. We can cure ourselves,
Oh, absolutely.
This just goes to show it. In the right mindset, we can release our trauma.
You really can. Like, this is a belief about others, the beliefs that you form through relationships and social experiences. And it's trust, abandonment, rejection. I mean, we've all had to deal with that kind of stuff, whether it's from a parent, a sibling, a relationship,
Friends.
teachers.
Friends are your worst.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Friends,
when you're
people-
growing up in high school, like,
Oh, gosh.
some of these things my daughter tells me her friends have said, or like even boyfriends, like some of the things I hear from what boyfriends say to their girlfriends, I'm like, dude,
Oh, yeah.
you would have been gone and on the street quick, because there's no way you're going to talk to me like that. Like, how nowadays?
And this is actually a good thing. Okay, when it talks about trust, abandonment, rejection and stuff, some of the examples are people leave, others can't be trusted, I'll be betrayed. And it's so easy. Like you were saying, okay, I've had people who have had parents, like if a child has a relationship, it breaks up and the parent's like, oh, that's just the way it is, or that's just how boys are. No.
There's still trauma there.
There's still trauma there, and
You
you
can't
can't
just-
just say, oh,
you-
people leave.
Yeah, you can't just shrug it off, and your child is going through something, and to tell them, oh, you'll get over it, or oh, it's not nothing, you have to help them through whatever it is they're going through as a responsible parent, regardless if you feel it's important. This isn't about you.
Right.
This is about them. This is about what they're going through. This is about their trauma, how somebody hurt them, and how you don't want to keep them trapped in this state.
Right, how you want to empower them to make them understand that you can move on.
Right.
You don't have to stay trapped in that
But and give them the
mentality.
tools to do so.
Exactly.
Don't just leave them hanging. Hey, okay, this is how we can do this.
And so many people don't have those tools. I mean, if I had I had various tools with my daughter, and my husband helped a lot too, but if I had some of these tools, I could have helped her a little bit more. But I've been able to do some stuff now that she's older, and I've been able to get a few things across and understand things better
Right.
than I could before. So these
Right.
tools are really good about
They
helping
would have done
with that.
great for us if we were younger,
Oh,
right?
girl.
Like,
Yeah.
I think this
Trust
just
me.
goes to how we as light workers are meant to get rid of that generational
Yeah.
karma and gook
Absolutely.
off of our kids.
That's
and
exactly
stop it
right.
now. And that way, for our future generations, our grandchildren, great-grandchildren, don't have to go through this mess now that we have the knowledge.
That's actually one of the things that Dr. Bradley goes over in the books, is that you can stop it now.
Yep.
Just like people who live in abusive situations and it gets passed down through generations, well, this is emotional trauma that you can go ahead and get rid of now,
Right.
and your kids don't have to worry about it, and it's not going to be, it's like I've stopped it for every generation. So
Right.
like my nieces, my nephews, none of them will carry the same trauma that got passed down from either of my parents
Right.
through them.
Because you've stopped it.
Exactly.
Regardless if it's, even though it may be something already in their body, but you've stopped it. You've been able to, because that intention's there.
Exactly.
Yep.
And now I know that my mom and dad are healing on the other side. They're all in for it.
Yep.
I'm like, yes, please. So let's see. Okay, safety about the world. Yeah. Everybody thinks that we have scarcity, and we really don't. We have enough for everybody. And so you get to the you think that the life is hard. There's never enough. No, you got to rephrase that.
Yeah.
But these are things that people deal with.
Yep.
Purpose, fate. Oh God, I ask myself all the time, what am I here for? And it's so funny because I ask myself, why am I here? And I answer it in the same breath.
I mean,
you
how
know?
many times have we gotten down in the dumps, me and you, and we've talked to each
Exactly.
other, and I don't even know I'm here. Like yesterday, I was
Why
going
am
through
I
something,
here?
and I found myself sitting in the car talking to my friend Sarah, just crying. Like, why am I even here? Like, because sometimes life gets so overwhelming,
Yep.
and you get piled on so much stuff at one time. It's just like, man,
Oh, yeah.
When can I catch a break? Like,
Mhm.
but you have to understand, like, there's a purpose for everything.
You go, what can I learn from this?
Right.
That's what
And that's
I've
what I
learned
have to
switch.
remember. What can
Mhm.
I learn from this? I'm
Mhm.
going through this for a reason.
Right.
Because there's nothing I can do to physically change the outcome of any of this.
Right.
So what am I supposed to take away from this?
Right. Or who can you help in
Right.
the long run?
And she
from
helps
it?
me realize that. You know,
Mhm.
she doesn't sit here and I don't know. I try not to like I know I could call and talk to you, but like she just has she will put me in my place.
Well, good.
Yes.
Sometimes you need somebody to put you in
Yes,
your
I
place.
do, and she is the person to do it. No lie. Like if I have something, or she's even taken my husband's side, which is really rare, but she has done it. You know, but she is real with me.
Right.
Whereas I've got friends who they're real with me, but they're also Team Jennifer. You know,
Mhm.
they don't want to hurt my feelings. They don't want to, you know, cause me any trauma. But sometimes you need that reality check. You
Oh,
need
yeah.
to be like,
That slap in the face.
right.
Mhm.
And Sarah will do that.
Good. Sounds like she's just right where you need her to be.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome.
Oh, here we go. This is a big one. Beliefs about the body and the health. You know, the safety in the body, body trust, strength or weakness. My body's broken. I can't trust my body. This is probably what causes a lot of people's chronic illness and stuff, and I think
Yeah,
that's
because
even
you've
brought up
already
here.
put that on you.
Yeah, when you walk around saying that all the time. I remember years ago, I would walk around, I mean, I wasn't even 50, and I would be,
Yeah.
oh, I'm just tired, my body's old, I'm so on. Dude, I'm not boosting myself.
Likeness attracts, you know, and when you put that out there in the universe, what do you expect to
Exactly.
happen?
So I switched the way I
Word
talked to
things, yeah.
myself, and now I have people all the time come up to me and say, you cannot be 57. You
Yeah.
don't look 57. Because I take care of myself, and I look at myself in a
And
more
you
positive
don't.
way.
I get the same thing
Yeah.
with being 51.
Exactly.
They're like, there is
no,
no
you
way.
look like 35, 40 maybe, something like that.
And then when they find out I have a 30-year-old, they're like,
I know.
there is no way you
When
have
you
a
were saying that, I was
30-year-old.
like, I can't believe the 30. I'm like, and I sometimes forget I'm old enough to be a grandparent. Thank goodness.
I
I'm
mean,
not,
I
but
remember my
still,
mom
you
at
know.
51.
I know.
Is that not crazy?
I know.
It's
I
so
kept thinking,
mind-blowing.
She was
like,
so old, quote unquote. Here I am.
my
older
dad
than
would
her.
make fun of her. You're a half a century old.
I know. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Well, limiting beliefs, destructive beliefs. Here we go. And they're usually from personal experiences or inherited, generational, or prenatal. That's one of the things we were talking about. Prenatal.
Yeah.
I mean, you have no idea how much stuff you get brought into this world with.
Yep. I mean,
From
just think
whatever.
about it being in utero.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And whatever
Everything
trauma
they
your
hear-
parents are going through and everything that you're hearing, because you can hear it. That's
You
why
can
they tell
hear.
you to play the music.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah, these are good. I'll have to go and look at that a little bit more. But yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully that gives people an idea of what they can see, because you can go to the website and look at any of this stuff
Yes.
and sort of.
Yeah, and that's what I did. Like, a lot of this is just research, you know, and I tell my clients, whatever information I give them, I want you to do your own research. That's the whole point of
Right.
helping you be your own cure with Universal Works of Healing. It's I will provide you like the backbone of it, kind of, you know, and you have to do the research though. Don't take what I'm saying, because what may work for some people is not going to work for everybody.
Right.
So do your own research. You know, I want everybody that's listening to this to do your research on the body code, emotion code, the heart code. Go on to discoveryhealing.com, read about all of that, you know, and do your own research and have your own opinions about this, you know.
Absolutely.
You may not agree with any of this, and that's perfectly fine, you know.
Right.
But, so anyhow, the belief code work is not about labeling thoughts as wrong. It's about identifying beliefs that were once protective but are no longer needed. A helpful way to explain it is that the beliefs are learned responses. When they no longer serve us, the body may ask for them to be released. So belief code looks at the subconscious belief about yourself, others, life, and the world. These beliefs can shape how you feel and respond. Releasing limiting beliefs helps to create a more flexible and at ease environment for
yeah,
yourself.
I can absolutely see how all of these can work together.
Yeah. All right, so the next segment, we're just going to kind of recap and explain how they all work together. So emotion code clears the emotional energy. Body code restores balance across the system. The heart wall works to open the heart. And the belief code rewires the subconscious patterns. So together they support healing at every level: the body, the mind, the heart, and the spirit.
Right.
So this isn't about fixing what's broken. It's about removing what's blocking your body's natural ability to heal. It is that simple, literally that simple.
Mhm.
The journey unfolds gradually, aligning with the rhythm that your subconscious perceives as nurturing and not overwhelming. Therefore, it is important to avoid anticipating an instant solution. These imbalances have developed over years, and just as it takes time to shed weight, healing also requires patience.
Mhm.
So, as we begin to close, let me share with you something Dr. Bradley Nelson wrote in his book, The Body Code. The body code is a self-healing organism. It knows what is wrong and what it needs. The body code is how we decode those needs. If this podcast resonates with you, trust that curiosity. The body doesn't ask for healing until it's ready. Whether you're just beginning or deep into your healing journey, remember, you don't have to do it all at once. Healing happens in layers. Before we close today, I'd like to guide you through a short grounding and mini emotional release. This is gentle and you always are in control. And if at any point you feel uncomfortable, you can simply just open your eyes and come back to the room. If you're driving or need to stay alert, please save this part for later. So I want you to go ahead and find a comfortable position. You can be seated or lying down. Take a slow breath in through your nose and a long breath out through your mouth. Again, inhale and exhale. Bring your awareness to your feet. Imagine them connecting to the ground beneath you, supported, steady, and safe. Now bring your attention to your body. Notice where you're holding tension without trying to change anything. Just noticing is enough. Now gently place one hand over your heart or on your abdomen, wherever feels right. Silently, or out loud, I want you to say, my body is safe. My body knows how to heal. Give yourself permission to release something small today. This doesn't have to be big or dramatic. Bring to mind an emotion that feels present right now. Something mild. It might be stress, sadness, frustration, or even fatigue. You don't need to know where it came from. You don't need to analyze it. Just notice where you feel it in your body. Now imagine that emotion as energy, because it is. With your next breath in, imagine space opening around it. With your breath out, imagine that energy gently leaving your body, like mist dissolving into the air. No force, no effort, just allowing. If it helps, you can silently say, I release what I no longer need. Take one more slow breath in and exhale. Notice if anything feels even slightly different, lighter, calmer, more spacious. Healing doesn't always feel dramatic. Sometimes it's subtle. When you're ready, gently bring your awareness back to the room, wiggle your fingers, and open your eyes. Thank you for taking that moment for yourself and for being here. Even small pauses like this allow the nervous system and the subconscious mind to reset. Remember, healing doesn't have to be hard. Often it begins with just listening. I want to thank my special guest and friend Beverly for being here to share her knowledge on this topic. Please go to my website, universalworksofhealing.org, and submit your stories, your questions, and your curiosities, because your experiences may shape a future episode or help others to understand that they are not alone in what they are feeling or experiencing. Be sure to pick up a copy of my book, Enlightenment, Helping You Be Your Own Cure, through open-hearted communication and insight, available now on Amazon.com. I'm Jennifer, and this is Universal Truths, Exploring the Extraordinary. Until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and stay open to the extraordinary.